In this third installment of my series on focus, I want to dive deeper into the Input Image tab and show you some tricks I've learned as well as some other quality of life tips that you might not know about. I will explain some settings that even confused me when I first started to use them and break down the Controlnets and their settings to help you fully understand what they are doing and which ones are better for what purpose. If you haven't seen my previous videos, feel free to start there if you like. Otherwise, let's get started. First thing I want to show you is something some of you may not know about, and that is the history log. Click Advanced, then click History Log. In here, you can find all your previous generations. You can use this if you created something in the past and wanted to know what settings and inputs you used. If you want to reuse one of these settings, all you have to do is click Copy to Clipboard, then hit OK. Go back to the focus window and paste that into the text prompt. You will notice the Generate button changed to Load Parameters. This will change all the settings in focus to the ones you used for that previous image. One thing to note is that while it loads all the settings, if one of these images was generated while using the input image settings, it will not load in the previous images you were using. You will have to re-add those manually. The second tip about the history log is that you may have noticed that it only shows the images you created that day. You can see all the images you have created if you go to your Focus's output folder. Go to your Focus Outputs folder, then you can see where your generations are separated into folders by date. When you go into a folder, you will see a log HTML file. Double-click that, and it will open that day's log file where you can see those generations. If you don't see a copy to clipboard in a past log file, it was probably made before that option was implemented. This is something added recently. Okay, I'm going to reload my page to go back to default settings, and we will now go into Input Image. In the Upscale or Variation tab, I mainly want to talk about the Very Subtle setting. This is a nice tool to add a little variation in your image. One thing I use it for is changing the expression of an image. This can also be done in the InPaint tool, but it can come out a little more natural here sometimes. I will load an image in here and select Very Subtle. For this, I'm using all the default settings other than changing the resolution to 768 by 1344 and unchecking random. With this image, we will try to get a happy expression. Sometimes a few simple words will work. And that definitely worked. We got a little smile. But if we want to go bigger, maybe try to get her laughing. And still a subtle expression. So we can try going bigger, adding mouth wide open, lots of teeth showing, and see what that gives us. A little better, but again, this is subtle change, so it's not going to go crazy. You can obviously go the other way and get an angry expression. It's different with each image. Some pictures don't take much to get exaggerated emotions, while others can take some real effort. The rest of these settings I've covered before, so I'm going to move on to Image Prompt. Here we can combine up to 4 images together. First thing to do is click the checkbox Advanced, so we can get these extra settings to show. Okay, I'm going to do my best to thoroughly explain all these settings in here, and hopefully it will make a bit more sense to you. The first is Image Prompt. This is very similar to Midjourney in that when you upload your own image and use that as a base, it will take everything from the image, the style, character, composition, colors, and use it all to influence the final image. I'll grab an image and add a simple text prompt. And we will see what we get. Using this prompt, you can see it mixed a little bit of everything from this image with our prompt. Now, how much it influences has to do with the stop at and wait settings, but we will go over those a little later. Next, we have Pyracanny. This is a great setting if you are trying to get a character with a similar pose or keep details from one image to another. What it does is creates a line art picture that captures intricate details of your image, then applies that to your text prompt and any other Controlnets you have. So let's try this out. I will add this text prompt. A woman in a business suit in an office. Using this text prompt, I got a composition very similar to the image. Even the background shapes are included, and then altered enough to match the scene. So with Canny, you can keep an image and character similar to what you have, and still change the entire style, and come out with some great results. It's a very useful tool. CPDS stands for Contrast Preserving Decolorization Structure. Sounds complex, but it is a custom control net by the Fooocus team. that incorporates depth control combined with a decolorization method that converts the image to black and white, and uses the structure of that as a control net to influence an image. Pyracanny and CPDS are doing the same thing, but using completely different methods. You can successfully combine all of these control nets, but when it comes to these two, it's best to only use one or the other. FaceSwap will detect only the face and hair from an image and apply it to the final generation, either by using just a text prompt or a combination of images, control nets, and text prompts. Let's add another image here, and we will be adding this face to this image structure. For this, we will use Pyracanny, and on this image, we will select FaceSwap. Without any text prompt, the AI will take the structure of this image, add this face, and then make up its mind to fill in the blanks. It will not add this face onto this exact image, as the control net is only going by the overall structure. But with a text prompt describing a subject like our first picture, then we get a composition very close to this image. But really, you can make this go wherever you want. With this text prompt, a clown woman at a circus, you can see we have the structure of the first image, the face of the second, and now our setting is a circus. You can see it's trying to put clown makeup on her, but the face swap settings are pretty high since we want to keep it close to this face. But we can keep adding to the text prompt to get more changes to the face, or even start to lower the face swap settings a little, eventually pushing the text to start overtaking the control net. We can also add an image prompt here. Let's say we like the color style of this image and want it to start mixing in a bit. Since we already have two control nets, I will increase the weight for this to help it start showing. Without a text prompt, once again, the AI will do its own thing, but you can see it's adding those bright colors in. Now that you better understand what each of these control nets do, let's talk about how these settings work and affect them. Here are the settings we can change. These will directly affect whichever control net we have selected. Weight is how much we want the selected control net to influence the final image. The higher the weight, the more it will push that control net's influence per step. The stop at takes that control net and the weight and then applies it to the generation for however many steps we set it for. With performance set to speed, all images will go through 30 steps. That is how many times the image will run through its algorithm until the final image is completed. You see that every time you generate images. Think of the stop at setting as a percentage. With the Pyracanny here at 0.5, it is 50%. So with 30 steps total, this control net will be applied for the first 15 steps only. Basically, it will stop at 50%. This gives the image a chance to get its basic structure formed, and then at 50%, let the other control nets and text prompts continue to influence the image in whatever way you are asking them to. Setting it higher will have the control net applied to more steps and keep the structure likeness towards the original image, and will give the AI less ability to draw outside the lines. The same goes for setting it lower. That will give more freedom to the AI and not adhere to the structure so much. So the weight is how strong the control net affects every step, and the stop at is how many steps the control net will run for. There is no magic number between the settings, but going off the defaults that each control net starts with is best. We can delve deeper, but I feel like any further, and it will be overwhelming, but I hope this is starting to make sense. Before wrapping this up, I want to show some visual side-by-side examples of different settings with stop at and wait. I didn't run CPDS in this vid, but as you can see, it's similar to Pyracanny. And here are a few featuring FaceSwap. And I think I will conclude this video here. I don't ever ask for likes and subscribes. I figure you will do that on your own. But I will say thanks to those who do. I appreciate it, and it motivates me to keep creating. I will see you in the next one.